When I was younger, my mother would make me sit down at the kitchen table and do my homework. Often, I would forget to put my name on my work, and she would emerge from the kitchen and say, "Whose work is this? I don't see a name." And then I put a name on it. Now, at the time, my tiny kid hands could barely handle writing more than a sentence at a time. At least that's what it felt like. When my hand got tired, or got bored, my letters and words would start to slant off the dotted lines. My mother would say, "Erase it all and start from scratch. Make something that you're proud of."
What's up, guys? It's Echo here. It is my 11 months on testosterone.
My name is Emery Quincy. I'm 25 years old in Southern California, and I've been on testosterone for 10 and a half months.
Hey guys, this is Dade. It is my 14th month on testosterone.
My name is Everette Jeremy Alexander Redente. I am 20 years old. I started T August 8th, 2011. And yeah, been going ever since.
Honestly, I had no idea I was trans until high school. I knew something was different about me. I never liked anything girly. I didn't like girl toys. I didn't like girl games. My mom told me when I was really little I'd kick and scream and rip barrettes out of my hair, and told her I'd cry when I'd wear a dress. One time for Halloween, they made me be Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and I bawled because I couldn't be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle with my cousins. Um, when I grew up, though, I just thought I was a lesbian because, I don't know, I realized I liked girls, so I was like, well, that must be it. But there was still something different about it. I recognized that lesbians are girls who like girls, but also like being girls, and that wasn't me.
How did I know I was trans? It's just like once I started reading about other people and watching more videos and educating myself, I realized that I had a lot of the same feelings that they did. It's not something that I realized in my childhood, but I didn't feel like that. And in retrospect, there's a lot of things that I can connect and be like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Like, oh, that's probably why I hated wearing dresses. I was a tomboy and a lesbian, but so after I think hearing about these people and their stories and everything, that's when I realized that I was trans and that this label was something that I could identify with.
How I knew I was transgender. Honestly, I didn't. Not for a very, very long time. I didn't know the word. I didn't know that there were transgender people. I didn't know it was a thing. And I didn't know that there was a solution to how I felt inside. I was raised in a very, very conservative, religious household, and I was shielded a lot from anything but the religion in my life. And any of the feelings I was having about being different, I could not express. Absolutely not. From a very young age, I was completely different from the other little girls, and what the little girls liked doing, I didn't like doing, and how the little girls liked to dress, I didn't like to dress. And what I did have is I had a lot in common with the boys. No one else felt the way I felt about being female. So it wasn't until when I was like 25 and I still didn't know I was transgender, but I thought I was a lesbian. So I figured, I identify more masculine, but I like women sexually. I must be a lesbian. So I started hanging out with the lesbian crew, and I felt better. But I then started noticing, well, I'm not like these women either. They, most of them are comfortable with a little bit of feminine flair here and there, or they don't mind having their breasts, or the shape of their body, or they don't think like me. There is still no one like me in this group. I was still alone, and I still didn't have a name for what was going on. Then one day I heard about the terminology transgender, and I dove into the research. I decided that I must be transgender, and everything made sense to me. And as soon as I found out what it was called, and that there was an option, I became obsessed. There was no way that I was going to continue living with this body and with these social roles that had been given to me. It wasn't an option for me. I didn't have to take it anymore.
When I first began researching the transgender community, I noticed a lot of things. And one of them was that the guys that I found, including Dade, Echo, Emery, Everette, these guys all had this thing in common where they found out that they were transgender much later in life than the quote average way to find out. In media, it's often portrayed that if you are transgender, it's something that you know at an early age. So if you happen to be questioning your gender identity at 20, 25, 30, it's almost a thought that you couldn't possibly be transgender because you didn't feel this way when you were 3 or 4 or 5. And it gave me great comfort to see that even though I'm in college and I'm not 3 or 4 or 5, this was something that was a possibility.
Steps for transition. There's like a process to it, at least in Connecticut there is. So you have these feelings, right? This is what you need to do. As of right now, and as of my transition, this is what you have to do, or had to do. You have these feelings. You find a therapist that you can go to. This therapist will be the gatekeeper. So it's better if you find somebody who's not condescending and who has experience with trans people. So this person has to eventually write you a letter, if you're desiring to do hormones and stuff. We'll write you a letter that will refer you to an endocrinologist, because without this referral letter you can't see an endocrinologist, because there's no like really awesome like queer agency health centers here that I know of. So you get this letter, you go see the endocrinologist, you get an evaluation from the endocrinologist after getting blood work and stuff, and then they'll prescribe you testosterone. You go back, they show you how to do it. You do self-injections bi-weekly for the rest of your life. That's one way. Or like 10-day, you do injections usually. So this is the FTM experience, not MTF. So after that, you want to get surgery, you fundraise for yourself, or you work your ass off, or you get a loan, or you struggle, or you have some crazy awesome medical provider insurance that will cover gender reassignment surgery. So that's awesome, but usually not the case for trans people. So you're usually paying for all of these things, especially surgery is like you have a pretty good chance that you have to pay for it. I fundraised my ass off, and I got a loan from one of my friends. So, yeah, it was a lot of work. But I got surgery in May 15th, 2012. Changing your name in Connecticut, you have to file paperwork, and it's $150. You set up a court date, you go tell the judge why you're changing your name. You can be like, I'm trans, they're usually cool about it. Then they give you paper, and use that paper to go change your social security first. Change your social security first, and then you could go to a DMV or a licensing center and then get your license changed. But if you want to get your gender marker changed, you need to go back to your therapist and get a letter from them that says that, and you need another letter to get your passport changed, along with all this other documentation that you've got your license and you got all this. It's so much paperwork. So there's a lot of the little nitpicky things. But it's really good to be informed before you go do all these things, because if not, you'll be wasting time, you'll be wasting money, and you'll get really upset. So do as much research as you can, and if you have any questions on Connecticut laws and stuff, you can probably come to me.
What has changed personality-wise and like how I assess situations? So I would say my personality has done a complete 180 in a positive way since then. So before I was really envious of cisgendered men. I was very angry, felt entirely misunderstood, very emotional. And now I'll say that after my transition, I'm so much more confident. I'm way happier with myself. Life in general is just a lot more beautiful now. And I experience it for what I think it should be experienced as, instead of this miserable existence that I feel like I was living before. The way I assess situations is a lot more assertive. It's a lot more straightforward, bold in my decisions and my opinions. I don't devalue my own opinions and attitude now. Before, I kind of was really passive and just let people, overstep me. But now I'm like, no, like I'm a lot more assertive with what I believe.
Surgeries are a big deal for a lot of us in the community. Dysphoria is lethal. I have not had any surgeries. I do plan on getting top surgery. Here in California, I don't qualify for any sort of insurance. I'm a barista at a small, non-corporate coffee shop. I don't qualify for any sort of health care. So what I have is an account with a website called Give Forward, and the surgery is about $6,000, but it's in Sunrise, Florida, because Dr. Charles Garamoni is the best, and I would not go to anybody else. There's a lot of results online that you can look at. Dr. Charles Garamoni is by far the best, and also the cheapest, but that's about $8,000, and I have a Give Forward account for people to donate, and right now it has, I think, $1,250 in there, and that's just from people donating in the community.
It had been, I don't know, 7 months now, and I was learning so much from these guys that I had never met. I was learning that even though we might be all different ages and in different places around the world, we were all connected in that kind of cheesy rom-com kind of way. We all had something in common, and we all had our stories to share. And when worst got to worst, we do lean on each other, and we are a community of people who are always there for one another, no matter what. I guess that a lot of people still probably have the question, what's it like to be transgender? And I don't know if that's something that or anyone can explain. It's just, I don't know, it's like trying to explain to somebody that your favorite color is blue. Or it's like trying to explain what your first memory was, Or that kind of sinking feeling you get when you wake up from a good dream but you can't grasp at the end of it. It's being outside yourself and being within yourself at the same time. It's looking in the mirror and seeing someone else and not being able to connect with that person. My story it's still being written. And I'm just now getting to the good part.